That would be boring for you.
Yeah, the like blowing through a bunch of new sounds in 10 minutes is maybe not as sort of doesn't have any kind of structural coherence the way playing like two weird sounds for 10 minutes does.
So you're saying that the why it didn't work as a sonic piece was just because it was a bunch of experimenting. There was no formal kind of idea put together because it was just
not the experimentation per se, that it didn't have any kind of intention to it.
Intention for experiment. Yeah, interesting because when you say that, when you both say it was boring, I felt that
I didn't say it was boring. I said it wasn't interesting enough to waste time.
Okay, wasn't interesting enough to waste time. Okay.
I don't know. I kind of disagree. I mean, it all depends on. For instance, when you listen to drone music, when you listen to drone stuff, you hear subtle changes and subtle little things, and you have to be in a different sort of a mindset and a different sort of a time. Your sense of time is different. Your time is extended. So, in the same way that experimentation like this, things changed, and so I don't see it any less valid than any other kind of organized sound.
Okay. So I like this because there's so many different opinions.
Also, on a much more like base level, I've spent a lot of time going through all the weird sounds I can make on bass. It's very hard for me to like, do something, play the bass when you don't play the bass.
Right. Terry, I was wondering about you. I don't know about.
Well, hear what the last thing you said. Just for Ellen to say to me, play in a way you don't usually play.
Yeah, that was hard.
Well, yeah, I don't know what you do, but I often do a lot of,
A lot of different.
kind of inventory. I read Bertrand Turetsky's book and saw Mark Dreiser's DVD.
Yeah.
Spent a lot of time on my own poking at things. And
Yeah.
playing on them.
Yeah, a lot of percussion is like that too. The way to play it is to find as many ways to play it as you can.
Right.
So they're all valid.
Right.
So it's hard to find a way that you don't play the instrument. You play it every way you can anyway. It's part of the challenge.
It's hard to find a way that you don't play because you're part of playing percussion is playing in so many different ways.
Yeah.
I understand. Yes. I want to talk. If you guys want to add in too later, what I found was really interesting for me is the same thing you were saying, Jeff. And I kind of assume with Robert and Tara too that we just, part of us playing weird stuff is we find all these different things, different ways to play it and how to put, you know, all this sound and that and this. And what I found I had to keep doing was I put together two things that I didn't normally do. Like normally I'll flutter tongue, but I don't flutter tongue when I did something else. Because I was like, how can I do different things? So I do all these things. So then I started thinking, well, I never do this when I do that. And I started getting new combinations because, and then when I saw you put your, did you put your head joint in your little foot? Yeah, I was like, I don't know why I've done that before. But then all of a sudden I thought of putting my different head joints in. And for me that was like, because I was looking around to see what other people were doing, and I was like, and I wanted to give you my flute and say, put this on your saxophone! You know?
It's interesting because actually I've been thinking lately of trying to get like a trombone mouthpiece and adapting it for saxophone. Just as another kind of a sound to do, because I can try to do that with taking just the mouthpiece off or taking the neck off and doing it like a trombone or a trumpet player. You know.
Are you familiar with a guy named Steve Teray? He plays trombone, but he also plays conch shells. And he has all these conch shells, and he's adapted trombone mouthpieces to these conch shells.
Oh, cool.
And it's amazing what he does with them, and with an ensemble player.
Steve
Cool.
Teray?
Teray, T-U-R-R-E, yeah. He's an amazing trombone player, but he plays conch shells a lot.
And so for me, trombone conch shells. For me, I found that was really interesting because I worked with Rico Globocar back at Cal Arts in the 80s, and he would have us put our instruments together in different ways. You know, the oboe switches with the clarinet and the flute. And I hadn't thought of that for 20 years. You know, so for me, it was kind of helpful to have the group idea of seeing it. Where it fell short for me as far as the composition, I felt people played too much all the time. And when I saw people sitting down and stopping, I was like, oh yeah, it's part of a piece. So that doesn't mean all 9 of us or how many of us have played, all 8 of us have to play at the same time.
Speaking for myself, I found myself indulging in trying to find different things to do, which had me listening to everyone else less. Which made
Exactly,
me,
that's where I was at, yeah.
yeah.
I kept going back and
Addressing
forth.
what you said about people not stopping, because I realized, I finally found some electronic stuff that was starting to work. It was starting to sound like what you were doing.
Yeah.
Then I was getting the back of it. That was, but I had to go for a few minutes before I got to that point, you know.
Yeah,
Before you got to the point where you could experiment and listen.
Yeah, exactly.
because one involves more of an input from like, what is everybody else doing, then one am I gonna, you know, and then the other one's like output, where it starts here, goes there, you know, so I'm like thinking of playing around with this and that and everything, but then I'm not listening to, you know, I should be listening to, and then I'm not, I'm playing like I always play, because I'm listening.
Right.
So I have to stop listening. I was having this weird conversation with myself about, oh, if I stop listening, then I'll be playing like I never play, because I try to always listen, you know?
Yeah.
Any sound I make will be automatically like I never played because I'm not listening, you know, so it's weird.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because I love to hear the struggle. Because to me, it's in the struggle that we grow, and it's in the
Yeah.
struggle that the creative really happens. And so I think that when we're improvising, how can we really still be searching for something new? Whether it's a new thing we're saying, or a new way to play, a new way to interact, without always just listening, oh, this is what I say when I hear this. It's like somebody says, hi, how you doing? You go, fine, thanks. Musically.
Yeah.
So to hear that struggle, and that's why I want to do these exercises, so we have to struggle, so that when we play, it hopefully helps us